Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. My name is BrendenPlayz, and we are recapping the entire WrestleMania weekend. We've got NXT Takeover, a little Hall of Fame talk. Probably won't get too much into it because it was just a bit so-so. WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, Smackdown after WrestleMania, and all the other news and tidbits as well. Obviously, the Greatest Royal Rumble, that's got a bit of news about it. We had Rusev versus Undertaker, now it's Jericho versus Undertaker. So all of those kind of rumors and everything regarding about that. And also this show. So we've been saying for the last few weeks that this will be the final episode of the podcast. I'm going to extend it. I want to do one more episode next week because obviously next week is the Brand Shake Up. So I kind of want to talk about that. I'm kind of interested in that, so I figure that's a big enough episode for me to do another one. So next week we'll do another podcast and we will go from there. And obviously after next week we might still do the occasional kind of discussion, talk about a different topic here and there, just in a separate video rather than a podcast format. So you'll still hear from me, but perhaps not as frequently, or not every Thursday perhaps. Maybe every Thursday we'll do we'll talk about one different story rather than the entire show. I don't know, we'll have to figure it out. But that's something that we'll be doing in the future anyways. But this week, let's chat about WrestleMania. Let's get straight into it. We've got a lot to talk about. Now, I get it. We've all got kind of the WrestleMania hangover. We've heard and talked about WrestleMania so much that, sometimes listening and hearing more about WrestleMania, it's like, okay, it feels like an age ago now. It's like moved on. But I'm still going to talk about it. I'm still going to get into it because, I perhaps wouldn't spend as much time as I would if I did a recap straight after Mania, which, I probably should have done that. I was thinking about doing that, but, I watched the entire show. I got up at 7 a.m. to watch it. 7-hour show, obviously, so I was kind of really exhausted by the end of it. And to be honest, after watching WrestleMania, I was left with a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth because Brock Lesnar obviously retained the title, so I was like, and then the Nicholas thing, I was like, So the last hour of WrestleMania, I didn't really enjoy, whereas the rest of the show I really did. So overall, I would have to say I actually really enjoyed WrestleMania. Now, I read a lot of people's opinions online, and a lot of people said I hated it, one of the worst WrestleManias ever. We get that every year, though. Like, people just ridiculous. They don't remember, the last 5 years, let alone history. It's been a lot worse WrestleManias than this, and I honestly believed it was a good one. For today's standards, you can't really complain. It was a top to bottom, pretty decent show. The top of the show, the main event, the last hour I thought was weak, but it started off really well. The first couple of hours were really, really good, and the next, hour 3 was pretty solid. Hour 4 was okay, and then hour 5 just, kind of went downhill from there. But we'll break it all through, and we'll kind of chat about every little aspect of it. We'll talk about NXT Takeover after WrestleMania, which obviously, in my opinion, was a really good show. Was it better than WrestleMania? It's debatable. I mean, it depends what you're kind of looking for. I like WrestleMania because it has the star power about it, has the moments, the feelings. It was really cool watching, Ronda Rousey, for example. That was kind of like a real awesome moment. Daniel Bryan was cool to see back in the ring. So those kind of things you don't really get with NXT. Yeah, you get great wrestling. And a really good crowd reaction, but not so much, I don't know, just not that feel, that the big star power feel that perhaps you get on the main roster. But NXT was a good show. We'll chat about that one later on, though. We'll also chat, like I said, we're going to chat about the entire Raw, SmackDown, everything like that. So plenty to talk about today. So let's get into it. So we'll start with the pre-show of WrestleMania. So we had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. The Battle Royals on this show, both of them were really underwhelming. There was no surprises, really. We saw a couple of guys like R-Truth, Mike Kanellis, I think one of the Colognes, maybe like a few guys we haven't seen too much in recent times, have been out injured or whatever. They popped up. That was about it. It really wasn't much else to it. So, yeah, it was a pretty disappointing Battle Royal in terms of that. I thought maybe we'd get one or two names. Thought maybe Big Cass might come in, maybe Samoa Joe. But it turns out none of that happened. Matt Hardy did go on to win, though, and we saw the Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy combination form, and that was a really good moment, in my opinion, because obviously we saw what happened on Raw between Matt and Bray, it's a really solid combination. I'm really liking what we're seeing there, and I think it's got a lot of potential, and it started off really, really well. So I'm looking forward to it. Matt Hardy was the right winner. I'm glad they gave that win to Matt. So that goes to show that they're looking to push Matt. They're looking to continue on. And I think for a while there, it felt like they were just doing it. They were just doing the woken gimmick just to do it. They weren't really actively trying to make Matt Hardy a star. They weren't actively trying to push Matt Hardy. They just did this Bray Wyatt feud just to do it, and that's all it felt like. Now, it feels like with this victory, it might be the start of something for Matt, and maybe more of a serious push. Maybe they're starting to get behind him, giving him a big win here at WrestleMania, forming the team with Bray. Maybe they're starting to feel like, okay, this team has got something. We've got something here. Let's go with it. And if they do, I think that's fantastic. What are they? I forget what they call the Deleters of Worlds, I think is what the tag team name is, what they're going for, which I really believe, like I said, they've got a lot of potential. The start they had on Raw was really, really, really solid. And we're going to probably jump around a little bit. We're going to talk about WrestleMania and talk about things that happened on Raw at the same time, I suppose. So really, really impressive. I really believe they could be the next tag team champions. I think they probably will win their titles at Backlash. I don't know if they're doing it. Is it Backlash or Greatest Rumble? I don't know. The shows are very close together. But whatever the case, I think Backlash would be a better occasion to do it, because I don't think they'd really get it in Saudi Arabia. I could be very wrong, but I feel like it's one of those crowds that might not go with it. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a team that needed to happen for a while now, and now that they're doing it, I think it's very, very positive, and I think it's the best thing for both guys, especially Bray, because Bray was struggling, really struggling, so this is a great opportunity for him to turn things around, do something different, freshen his character up a little bit, without changing too much, just incorporating some of the work and stuff, deleting and all that, and incorporating some of that to his character, whilst also maintaining his own, just a bit of a tweak, I think is all that it really needed, and forming a pair up with Matt Hardy. If they do it right, they push him and actually have these guys win some matches for once, because that's always been the curse of both guys. They never win. Especially Bray. He's one of those guys that continues to lose over and over and over. They actually push this guy and they actually give him a chance. It will work. I really do. I really do believe that. The Cruiserweight title match. The tournament final for the vacant Cruiserweight title match. A 12-minute match. So they got some time. This match just suffered because people just weren't interested. People just aren't interested in Cedric and Mustafa Ali. The match itself was pretty decent. Nothing special, nothing brilliant. I had a couple of nice little spots in there. They tried their best, and I actually, agree that they tried their best. They put on the best performance I'm sure they probably could have. But the problem with matches on the WWE, compared to NXT, is that it's all about star power, essentially. When WWE, when you watch a WrestleMania match, for example, it could be a really good match, but if people just don't care about the two guys involved, they're not really going to give it much. Whereas in NXT, it's different crowds. It's kind of crazy like that. It is different crowds, whether you think it or not. It really is, because in NXT you can have a guy debut that we've never seen before. If he does some cool shit, people are going to pop for it, or some lesser known names. If they do some great work in the ring, people are going to react for it and people are going to go nuts for it. On WrestleMania, though, in the WWE main roster, if you have a great match, people might not even react. People might not even really care if you're putting off a great move. They might, pop a little bit, but that's about it. So that's kind of the suffering that the Cruiserweight division has had. That's the issue they've got. And despite this, they're probably in their minds thought, okay, this is a really good wrestling match potentially. It just didn't quite deliver because just the crowd reaction wasn't quite there, just in my opinion. Naomi also won the Women's Battle Royal. 20 women involved. No real legends or anything like that return. I guess they used all that for the Royal Rumble, which is fair enough. But we saw some NXT girls go in there. There was a few that looked a little bit rough in that match that probably weren't ready for that type of occasion. But I think one, for example, what was her name? Kavita Devi or whatever her name is. I think she was the girl trained by the great Khali. She's got some work to do. She's got a little bit more time to go just yet before she's main roster. Probably another 3 years, to be honest. She was a bit rough, but most of the other girls did pretty well. Bianca Belair got a bit of time in there, which was good. We saw Peyton Royce. Obviously, she made her main roster debut as well, so that was really happy to see her in there. So there's a few NXT girls that was exciting to see, but for the most part, it was just a way to get all the girls in the match. Naomi was a really strange winner. I don't know why she won. I really don't know why. It just felt like she won just for the sake of it. I feel like having Sasha or Bayley win would have advanced the storyline and would have achieved something, whereas Naomi winning was just like, oh, you won. Great. So it's like one of those pointless wins that they're not really going to do a hell of a lot with, but they could have used that Battle Royal victory in the Bayley-Sasha Banks feud and helped, elevate that a little bit more. It was only a 10-minute match, 10-minute Rumble, or 10-minute Battle Royal, so not a hell of a lot. So if you add up the wrestling time for the pre-show, it was about 35, 36 minutes out of the 2 hours of actual in-ring time, which, I just feel like... Plus, they had ads and things like that in between. So I just feel like that's a bit lame, in my opinion. I feel like it needs to be up to about 45 minutes. But it is what it is. They don't want to don't want to get the crowd to be tired or something like that. I don't know. But, they could have done a little bit more, in my opinion. Started the show. So we started off the show with Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Finn Balor, triple threat match for the IC title. One of the better matches on the card, to be honest. It was a really good match, 15 minutes long. I really enjoyed it. Perfect opener. Seth Rollins won, which is not a huge surprise. I probably would have went with Finn Balor just to give him a win because he needs one badly. He needs a title, needs something. It could be a sign that Finn might be on his way to Smackdown, or it might be a sign that they might do the switch between Rollins and the US champ, which of course now is Jinder Mahal. But we'll have to talk about that next week or later on the show when we get to the Shake Up. But so Rollins winning, no real problem with that. It was either going to be Rollins or Balor. I thought for sure The Miz was going to drop the title, and just to I guess give him a few weeks off. He is going to invoke his rematch clause at Backlash, I believe, so that might give him a chance to have a week or two off TV and just go home and be with his newborn child, which I think is fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. It was a really good match. They followed up, though, with another, probably one of the best women's matches I've seen at WrestleMania, Charlotte and Asuka. This match was terrific. I thought it was just a touch short, and the time for it was 13 minutes, so I probably would have upped this to maybe 15 alongside that triple threat. I just felt the only thing I didn't like about it is the fact that Asuka tapped out, the fact that she did tap out, and the fact that she tapped out so quickly. I would have had her really fight for it for a while, and they could have stretched it out for another minute or two by having her, will she tap? Oh my god, is she going to tap? She's been in the submission for so long. Just have her fight for so long, and then eventually she's got no choice. She can't get out. I would have went in that direction rather than her quickly tapping out. I just feel like that would have justified her streak a little bit better. But it was a very good match. I was quite surprised that Charlotte did win. I did have a feeling, though, heading into WrestleMania that there was a pretty good chance. I just had this feeling that maybe this might be the time they call quits on Asuka's streak. Personally, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing because it's difficult to book a streak because essentially you're backed in the corner. Every time you have a match with someone, they've got to have them win because you've got this streak going. Now, I don't think Asuka's going to lose a hell of a lot. I still think she's going to be booked very strong and protected. But now, if she does take a loss, it's not the end of the world. And if you lose, you might as well lose your streak at WrestleMania. It's not a bad thing to lose at WrestleMania. So if it's going to happen, it's the time to do it. So I think Asuka will probably get the belt at some point. I feel like Triple H is still, he loves Asuka. He's still going to push her to the moon. I think Vince might be more in favor of Charlotte. I don't know, but it's hard to really say. But they really are high on Charlotte. I'm sure they're still going to keep going with Asuka. But it was a great match. It really was. I'd love to see a rematch and just give it that little bit more time. And maybe next time they can play out the submission and have Asuka in the submission for long. But this time she's able to break free of it and do something there. I don't know. But it was a good match. We had the US title match. Jinder, Randy, Rusev. Nothing really to talk about here. It's a bit of a bit of a fill-in type of matchup. Jinder won. I don't know why. I thought Rusev should have won. But, look, we'll chat about it now. Rusev, he was meant to be in this Greatest Royal Rumble match against The Undertaker in a casket match. A lot of the fans were pretty outraged that he was just going to lose in probably 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, tops, and get beaten pretty quickly. I was under the impression that this is not a bad spot for Rusev to be in. It's a guy who is quite popular, but they can also... It's also a good opponent for The Undertaker. So it's a big dude, so Undertaker beats him. It's a good little win for Undertaker. So it's a bit of credibility, and also it's a good spot for Rusev. I don't think Rusev's going to get the crowd reaction that we're expecting in Saudi Arabia. I don't really know. I mean, Saudi Arabia, who knows? Who really knows? That's the beauty. This is what I really like about the fact that they're going there. It's a crowd reaction that we just don't know what to expect. I'm expecting them to be really babyface heavy and heels going to get booed. That type. It's like an old school mentality. That's what I'm thinking. I could be very, very wrong. So it's hard to really gauge what type of crowd reaction guys are going to get. And that's why I'm really excited for it, as I said. But, so Rusev pulled out of this match. He did come out on TMZ. He said that Undertaker is old and he's going to, kick his old ass or something like that. He made a few jabs online at Undertaker. So, Michelle McCool took offense to it. Is that one of the reasons why they changed it? I don't know. Maybe Undertaker requested it. Maybe Taker said, "Nah, I don't want to work with this guy now. He's calling me out." I don't know. What I do believe, though, is that Rusev might be on his way out. I really believe now could be the time where Rusev might call it quits, and if not, WWE call it quits on Rusev, because this guy has been upset for quite some time. It's pretty well known that he's not happy. He said it himself. He's got this act that is over. His merch is selling. He's doing well. For whatever reason, though, the WWE just don't want to push him. I don't know why. They just don't like Rusev. It's been pretty clear for the last 2 years. Originally, they did like him. They gave him this year-long undefeated streak. He lost the title to Cena. It went down for a heel from there. They did this storyline with Ziggler, Lana, Summer Rae, or whatever. They did all that. Yeah, and ever since that whole engagement thing, Rusev's career has been going down and down and down to the point where he's now a bit of a mid-card job guy. He fills the spot, but doesn't really have any credibility. He finally creates something, this Rusev Day thing, which I don't know how, but it's gotten over. People like it, and it's working. But the WWE, whenever he's got a chance to break through, they just continue to hold him back down, just continue to, I don't know, I wouldn't say bury, because they're giving him opportunities. They put him in the Fatal 4-Way just to kind of quiet the fans a little bit. So they're giving him a chance here and there, but they're not really doing anything with him. You got Jinder Mahal, a guy who gets no reaction, a guy who had the title for 6 months last year, did absolutely nothing with it, struggled then, and now they're trying to do it again. Same thing over. If we're doing Jinder and Randy again, it's deja vu, just a different belt. And it's like, okay, it didn't work the first time, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, but it might work the fifth time. Randy and Jinder, it might work 5 times, it might be the charm. I don't know. It just, WWE, this is one of those situations where I just can't agree with them. They're just making some bad choices. I think Jinder is not the right guy. I mean, Rusev, you've got an act that's hot. They just don't go with it. That's the thing that blows my mind. If you got a guy who's getting over, organically, without you even trying, if you actually try to get the guy over, my God, how well will he do? You give him the belt, and people might actually really get into it, and you're only going to improve. You've already got a guy who's got 1 foot, up the ladder, and now you want to knock out that foot and then drop him down to the bottom of the ladder. It doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Now, to me, I really believe he might be done. I think this could be the end of Rusev, and he might find himself gone from the company at some point this year. Many are asking, can he survive outside WWE? I think he can. I don't think he's going to prosper. He won't have the Rusev Day act or Aiden English or even Lana. I don't even think they'll give up Lana. They might. Lana might request for her release. I doubt it. I don't think Lana would be the type to go to the Indies and do all that. I think Rusev would, but I don't think Lana. So I could see Rusev probably in the Bullet Club with those guys doing something like that, or at least doing a good spot in Japan. If not in Impact, I could see him there. He's got a few opportunities, but there's not, he's not going to have as much success as he is now, which might be the only reason why he's sticking around, because he knows the money's good. He's not going to get that money elsewhere. But creatively, it's got to be frustrating for the guy. My favorite match at WrestleMania was Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey, who beat Triple H and Stephanie by submission. It was great. I really enjoyed it. The whole Ronda Rousey was fantastic. I really couldn't believe how good she was. I mean, look at this. Ronda Rousey is just a terrific athlete. She is quick. She's strong. She's got it all. And the thing about it is, Ronda Rousey, if she can pick up wrestling, if she can figure it out, if she can learn it, it might take her another year. But I tell you what, if she gets there, she could go down as one of the greats, because she has the athletic ability to really back up. All she needs to do is learn and get the skills to go with it. And I tell you what, she's going to be very, very good. There's no doubt. If the plan is to do Charlotte and Ronda next year at WrestleMania, that match might just blow, tear the house down. Because I think by the time WrestleMania next year comes around, I think Ronda Rousey will be good enough. I think she will be ready. And it's going to be great to see. She was really good. Absolutely really good. Kurt looked slow. He did what he had to do. He did all these moves. He got through it. He wasn't the brilliant Kurt Angle that we know. I think Kurt Angle might be that guy now that might just be a tag team guy. I don't think he could really do a great singles match anymore, which sucks because I'm a huge Kurt Angle fan, but you can see he's struggling. You can see that he wants to do a lot of the things, he just can't quite get there in time, or just can't quite do it at the ability that he used to. It has to frustrate him. I'm sure he wants to do all these things, but he just can't seem to do it. But he got through it. He wasn't bad. I thought he was good. I thought he got through it. He looked okay. He did his job. He was good enough. He didn't embarrass himself by all means. It wasn't brilliant, but he was good enough. And Triple H and Stephanie, they both played their part really well. Stephanie, I kind of like how Stephanie, and I think this is something that other wrestlers kind of need to take need to look at. When they're in a submission that, they're pleading, please stop, I'm sorry, that type of thing, or, talking to, yelling out things and kind of trash talking during the match. I think this is something that other people need to perhaps do, because I like it. I think Bubba Ray did it with the Dudleys when he came back. He talked some trash in the ring. And I just like that. I just feels like it adds to it. And Stephanie pleading, please, I'm sorry. That kind of added to the story a lot as well. So if she had stayed silent, just took it, would have been like, okay. But her pleading just added to the story. So I like that. So Stephanie obviously not. Can't really wrestle that great, but, that's one of the things she can do, and that really added to it, in my opinion. So it was a 20-minute match. It was the longest match at WrestleMania. Surprisingly, I really didn't expect it to go that long, and I thought it was without a doubt the best match. The crowd loved it. After that match, if I had to turn off WrestleMania, I would have been very happy. I personally thought it could have main evented. I really thought heading into WrestleMania they might have changed gears and maybe made this the main event. And to be honest, it would have been a better choice. The crowd would have went home pretty happy after watching that one. I don't know if it would have got the same reaction being that late in the card, and maybe that's what sparked Triple H to put it in the middle, because he wanted the crowd when they're at their best, and that's probably the middle of the show. What is this, hour 2, hour 3 or something like that? So the crowd would have been at their peak at this point. So maybe it was a smart positioning for Triple H to put his own match at the crowd's peak, perhaps. We followed up with a bit of a squash between the Bludgeon Brothers, the Usos, and the New Day. Bludgeon Brothers got a quick little victory, and they won the tag titles. This was exactly what it needed to be. Squash match, whatever. It was fine. We then had Undertaker and John Cena, the big moment. Undertaker finally showed up. We had Elias come in between. He did all that. And Cena, we really genuinely thought that Cena wasn't going to have a match, because when he started walking up the ramp and nothing was happening, I thought, oh, okay, maybe this won't happen. But it did. Undertaker came out. It was a less than 3-minute match, but it was everything it needed to be. A lot of people were really frustrated and felt like they were robbed. Or, what was the point of this? The point of it is that it's WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania. You want the Undertaker to be there, and he comes in. He has a quick little squash match. He beats Cena. That's all it needed to be. Undertaker redeemed himself. He looked better. His performance was quick. It was short and sweet, though, and that's all it needed to be. If this is a setup for next year's WrestleMania, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But, Undertaker, he looked a lot better, and he redeemed himself. Last year with Roman Reigns, he looked terrible. This year, he comes out, and everyone's like, oh man, Undertaker looks a lot better now. He looks good. So, it's one of those things where our lasting impression of The Undertaker is much better than it was, previously. So, we then followed up with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, who beat Owens and Zayn. Daniel Bryan didn't feature a hell of a lot until the end, but, Shane McMahon took a lot of the beating. Shane McMahon, I don't know if he was just selling, but it looked like he was struggling a little bit with, his injuries that he's had recently. So kudos to him for pulling through and doing the match. Daniel Bryan just didn't get quite enough offense in my opinion, to kind of satisfy, but he got the victory. He did what he had to do, and it was a cool moment just to see Bryan back in the ring. So that was cool. But so it was what it was. Nia Jax beat Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. In terms of the show, I felt like this was the weakest match out of them all because it just dragged a little bit, and the crowd were just not really into it. It was probably a bad positioning for them to be in because they're in between Taker, Cena, which followed, Daniel Bryan followed, and then obviously kind of stuck in between the WWE title. So it just wasn't quite there. But it was okay. Nia Jax winning was the right call. I think she should be the champion. I think Alexa Bliss, her title reign has kind of been a little bit exhausted by now. I think it's time for her to go in a different direction, and Nia Jax being champion, it's not bad. I mean, I'm not a big fan of this whole bullying storyline because the fact of the matter is Nia Jax, when she debuted, she just destroyed everyone and just dominated everyone and basically bullied her opponents. Now she's, getting fat-shamed and, it's, boo-hoo type of deal, where she just spent 6 months squashing and destroying her opponents. So, yeah, okay. The WWE title, Nakamura and AJ. It was what I expected. I thought it was going to be a good match, but it's going to disappoint. I just didn't think it was going to be as good as we were expecting, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was good. I wouldn't even say it was memorable. I really wouldn't say it was memorable. Look, Nakamura hasn't had a great match since being on the main roster. He hasn't had that epic classic. You could argue he hasn't had an epic classic since the Sami Zayn match at TakeOver when he first came in. So what's the deal with Nakamura? Is it, okay, he's holding back? Is it he just can't do it at that level anymore? What's the deal? What we did get, though, was the heel turn, and Nakamura turned heel, which I think was a very surprising call. I did not expect that at all. When they were starting to set it up, I thought, he might actually turn heel here. But heading into the match, potential scenarios, thoughts, I didn't have Nakamura turning heel at all. I just thought it was going to be a handshake, and that'll do it. I actually thought Nakamura was going to win, and AJ Styles was going to shake his hand and walk away. That's what I thought, but Nakamura lost, did the heel turn, and on Smackdown this week, he carried it over, and it was really good. It was really good. I think this turn is working quite well. It's going to freshen up. I think Nakamura will end up getting the title down the line from this turn, and I think it might be a good call. Nakamura, I think, can work as a top heel, and I think Vince can book a foreign heel better than he can book a foreign babyface. I just feel like that's Vince's in his mentality. If they're from a different country, they've got to be a heel, that type of thing. And Vince is kind of old school in that way, so it might probably help his booking that he is a heel. Maybe Vince might actually know what to do a little bit. But, so not the match we were hoping for at WrestleMania, but they might deliver on another pay-per-view. I don't know. I just feel like, again, the crowd weren't into it. For whatever reason, the crowd might have been burnt out. I don't know. But the crowd just wasn't there. It wasn't that Hogan, rock type. It was never going to be. But it didn't have that electric atmosphere that we thought maybe it would, when the two look at each other, other side of the ring, we thought, okay, the crowd are going to go nuts and probably chant, "This is awesome," before it even starts. None of that. None of that at all. So, yeah. Braun Strowman and Nicholas, they beat Cesaro and Sheamus. Hated it. I'm sorry. Just didn't like it. I thought, to be honest, put Kurt Hawkins, put Zach, I don't care. Put a wrestler in that spot, because at least if you had Strowman and that job guy, they could do something. It could be a comedy duo. I thought Kurt Hawkins would have been perfect, because you got a guy who can't win a match. Braun Strowman carries him to that win and finally breaks that streak. And then you can have that comedy duo, that little storyline where, Strowman's carrying him and Kurt Hawkins, is so appreciative and whatever. And, Hawkins feels like he's the man now. He's trying to step up. He wants to, fight Cesaro and Sheamus on his own now. Or, he wants to, do all that. You could have done something like that. And someone would have benefited from it. Instead, you had a 10-year-old kid who was the referee's kid, John Cone's kid, came in, won the tag titles, vacated it the next day. What the hell was the point of that? Strowman's not even going to be the tag division anymore. What was the point? That is a very mind-blowing, head-scratcher. I don't get it, don't like it. I just thought it made no sense. If you're going to do something like that, use a wrestler in the back, help get him over, and you can accomplish and you achieve something from it. Instead, they did absolutely nothing. Main event, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Universal title. Reigns kicked out of F5 after F5 after F5. It was your typical Lesnar match. It really was. Just, I don't know. A lot of people were saying it was a disaster. It kind of was, because the crowd were chanting for everything but the match. And I expected it. I called it a while ago. I said, look, this match could be Goldberg, Lesnar from WrestleMania 20. I really believed it. I feared for it. And it basically nearly was, wasn't it? It wasn't that bad, but it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. Reigns got some colour in the end. Had a nice crimson mask, which helped it. It was a nice visual. Lesnar winning, I hate it. I just was surprised. I just thought, my whole head, I just thought Reigns is going to win, and that's a good thing. I was hoping that Reigns would win. But Lesnar's got this new deal where he's going to sign on. We don't even really know what it is. Is it a couple year deal? Is it to SummerSlam? Is it a 2 appearance? We don't. There's a lot of talk. A lot of people throwing different things out. We don't 100% know. But we do know is that he'll be at the Greatest Rumble, and I'd say he'll drop the belt then, because I feel like at Saudi Arabia, as we said earlier on, it might be a very pro babyface crowd, and someone like Roman Reigns might succeed really well over there, and he might get the great crowd reaction that they're hoping for, and he can win the belt and go on from there. I think Lesnar is going to go to UFC. If Dana White's saying it, I tend to believe it. I don't think Dana White would promise something that he's not going to deliver. I just get that feeling. And I think Lesnar, might be bored of WWE. I don't know. Lesnar just doesn't look interested in anything he's doing. And the fact of it is, he's had the belt for a year. I mean, think about it. Lesnar's had the belt for an entire year. What has he done? The belt has just been locked up. I would love to see someone hold the freaking belt and defend it and make it interesting, because Raw is really lacking because of it. Yeah, they've had to elevate the IC title because of it. Now that they're doing joint branded pay-per-views, that's okay. They don't necessarily need the Universal title every pay-per-view, but geez, it'd be handy to have it. And Roman Reigns, whether you like him or not, I think will be a good champion. Samoa Joe came out, cut a promo on Raw. Reigns and Joe's being set up for Backlash. That's going to be great. I think Joe would be a tremendous champion as well. Strowman's. There's got some good guys there that could run and be great champions with this belt, and I'd love to see some of them get that opportunity rather than Lesnar, who is doing nothing, just lock the belt up. It's ridiculous at this point. But overall, the match wasn't great. It was okay, but I just, the crowd kind of ruined it for me, to be honest with you. And I hate that. I hate that the crowd shitted all over it, but, they're going to chant what they're going to chant at the end of the day. But that's WrestleMania for you. If I had to give it a rating, initially I would have said 8, but I think I'm going to drop it back to about 7.5. I think 7.5 out of 10 is kind of where I'm at. A lot of people say, oh, it's terrible, give it a 3, give it a 4. If you kind of think that, it's ridiculous. A lot of people saying, well, if you think this is a good show, you got low standards. Well, look, at the end of the day, if you enjoyed the show, then you enjoyed the show. A lot of people are really critical on ratings and things like that, like, analyzing it and, it was a 5.5, because of this. Look, at the end of the day, if you enjoyed the show, if you liked something, then it's a 6, 7, whatever. You can enjoy something and it could be a 5, but... I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I didn't feel like at any point when watching WrestleMania that I was like, oh, man, this is really getting long. Like, I think I was 4 or 5 hours in, and I was like, oh, there's a couple of hours to go. Sweet. Looking forward to it. So I was happy there was more to watch. So, yeah, I liked it. And that might be an unpopular opinion. A lot of people want to come on podcast and shit all over everything they watch. But for me, I try to enjoy it. Because... if I don't like it, why the hell am I watching it? At the end of the day, if I hate wrestling that much, why the hell am I watching it? I love wrestling. I love it. I love watching WWE. Even now, I love watching the product now. I love watching the older stuff. I love it, and I try and enjoy as much as I possibly can. There's always going to be things that I disagree with and don't like, and would have suggested going this way, but there's always going to be things that I went, oh, that was really good, and I did find a lot of that at WrestleMania. As we said, first half of the show, there was basically all praise. Went downhill the second half, but that's okay. Quickly talk about NXT TakeOver. Adam Cole winning the North American title. I thought they might have went with EC3, but I guess they wanted to give it to an established guy. Ladder match that was a good match, 30 minutes long, really good. Great way to open the show, and a great way to kind of kick off the WrestleMania weekend. Shayna Baszler won the NXT Women's title. Shayna is like 38, and they're really going with her. I feel like it's kind of now or never with her. So they're trying to make it now. They're trying to get her moving along, and obviously being in Rousey's friend's going to help. So, Undisputed Era, beating Authors of Pain, Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong. The only real takeaway point of this was Strong turning heel, and thank God for that. When the guy came out, Roderick Strong, he came out to literally no reaction. And then he left the show with the biggest reaction. It's quite a turnaround, isn't it? That's a case of the perfect heel turn. When a guy who's a babyface just isn't getting any reaction, got no momentum, people aren't really caring about him anymore, there's other people they're more interested in, that's when you do a turn. And they did it. Look, the storyline, I don't know the storyline, but I know that they did the Strong tease a while back, and for him just to kind of randomly team up with him again is a little bit odd. But they might be putting Strong in Adam Cole's place and Bobby Fish's place and do the tag team there and let Adam Cole be the singles champ. So if that's the case, it's a bit of a brilliant move. It's a good time to do it now. So that was a perfect turn. Aleister Black beating Andrade. Solid match. Aleister Black winning, I think, is the right call. I think he's a real star in the making. Andrade, still a chance to go to the main roster despite not showing up on Raw or SmackDown. I think he could be a chance to head in the Superstar Shake Up. We'll talk more about that later on. But it was a good match. Main event, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Wow, nearly a 40-minute long match. This was brilliant. This was a great story. This was the match of the weekend, I thought. It was just brilliant. Just everything you want. Story, good wrestling, had it all. Just fantastic at the end of the day. That's just a fantastic match. And Gargano won, so now he's back in NXT. So we'll see more of him soon. Raw. The Raw after WrestleMania. Now, we'll kind of focus on the main topics here. We kind of, talked about a little bit here and now. But we had to open up the show with Stephanie getting beaten up by Ronda Rousey. And that was perfect. Ronda, I was kind of wondering, I put a tweet out and said, what are they going to do with Ronda next? Are they going to bring her in a new feud? They're going to put her in the title picture? Are they going to continue the Stephanie thing? I think for this week, they're just going to... what they did this week was basically, all right, we don't have a clear-cut plan for Ronda yet, but this will buy us some time. Let's have her nearly break Stephanie's arm, I guess, in kayfabe, and then we'll figure it out and maybe bring him back in a few weeks' time or something like that. So we'll see. But it was good. It was good. It was a bit Austin and Vince-esque, I suppose, and maybe that's what they were going for. Ember Moon made her debut, teaming up with Nia Jax. Yeah, Ember Moon definitely deserves the call-up. I think she's done enough to warrant that call-up. I think she has been very good down in NXT. She's been great on the indies. So she's ready, and we've seen some call-ups that aren't really ready, but I think she definitely is ready, and you may as well bring her up now and see how she goes. I don't know how far she's going to go. I feel like she's one of those women that are going to get called up but forgotten about a little bit. I know she's been champion at NXT, but I just don't know how far they're going to push her on the main roster. I'm a little bit worried about that. I feel like she might be, a Becky Lynch type of character. Might get the belt once, but then eventually probably lose more often than she wins. We had Strowman and Nicholas vacate the tag titles. Like I said, didn't hate that. I didn't like that. I hated it at all. Okay, so No Way Jose made his debut. He quickly beat a job guy. Very Adam Rose like, with the guys coming out of the dance. But, yeah, look, I feel like this gimmick can succeed a little bit on the main roster. I feel like it was something that... It's one of those gimmicks that you don't really think the NXT audience are going to react to or respond to. A bit like Elias. His act, people just didn't care for it at NXT, but the main roster fans, they do. I don't know if this is going to be the case for No Way Jose. I feel like he could be a guy that could be jobbing away in a month's time, which, they have to keep bringing in all these extras. It's one of those things where, okay, is it worth paying the $5,000 every night to bring in 20 different people to do this? Is it worth doing that every single night? I don't know. And they'll quickly make that judgment very, very soon. When you need a lot of expense, a lot of bodies, a lot of everything to make something happen, if you're not getting over quickly, they're going to drop that very, very quickly. And once they drop that, then it's on your way back down from there. So we'll give him a chance. He's a big dude. He's 6'3", 6'4". He's got some weight about him, so he's a lot bigger dude than I expected. But this gimmick isn't for me. This whole dancing, smiley gimmick, it's not really for me. But we'll see. Jeff Hardy made his return. He teamed up with Finn Balor and Seth Rollins in the six-man tag against the Miztourage. That was cool to see Jeff back. I think we all kind of expected it. I liked the backstage interaction that he had with Matt and Bray as well. So it looks like Jeff's going to go his own separate way, away from Hardy and Bray, but they kind of touched on it a little bit, and they're still friendly and whatever. So they might, see a little bit of each other here and there, but, not a hell of a lot. Which, Jeff might go to SmackDown. I think they're going to split them up and have Jeff go to SmackDown, and maybe the Hardys stay, Matt and Bray stay on Raw, which I think is the right call. That's what I would do. We had Paige announce her retirement. It was a big Raw, actually. Paige announced her retirement. We've kind of known that she was not looking like she was going to be getting back in the ring. I actually was thinking about it the other day. I was just thinking, okay, what's next for Paige? She's not really doing a hell of a lot. Are they going to get rid of Paige? Are they going to fire her? But she's retired now, officially done. She's really young. It's a real shame. It's actually quite tragic, really. She's now the GM of Smackdown, which I think could be a good role for her. I just feel like her promos need a little bit more work, but we'll see. I think she could be pretty decent for the role, and at least it'll spice things up a little bit more. And look, at least it's not like Jeff Jarrett or something like that, so at least they're making use of one of their talents and Paige and giving her a chance to do something. Elias came out, did another brilliant content. Elias, how good is Elias? He just gets a massive reaction every night. Elias is awesome. It was just... Elias needs something. This has to be his year. Has to be his year. He was interrupted by Bobby Lashley, who got a great reaction, came out, picked up Elias, held him up the suplex, slammed him down. It's been 10 years since he's been gone, and he looks great. He's in great shape. I'm excited for it because I was always a fan of Lashley because I've been recently watching 05 WWE, and he made his debut in 05, and we're kind of watching his first early initial stages, and my God, the dude was just a beast back then. He walked out the ring, he just looked like an absolute machine. And he had that physique for most of his WWE run. He's a little bit smaller now. Not a hell of a lot, but he's a little bit smaller now. But he's much better in the ring. Promos, he can actually cut one. Doesn't have the voice for it, but he can actually cut a promo now if he has to. Like I said, he just gets it. He's a much better wrestler right now. And I don't know if they're going to give him the big push that I think we're all hoping for. I'd love to see him in the main event, competing against Lesnar and those types of names. I think that's really all you can do with him. A guy like that, you kind of need him to be a top star or kind of nothing. He's one of those guys. He stands out from the roster because, let's be honest, most of the roster now are 5'10", 200 pounds. When you got a guy like Lashley who comes in who just looks like a beast, he stands out. He doesn't need to have the promo ability. He doesn't need to have the gimmick. He just stands out because of his look. And I think he can really be a main event star. He is 41, that's the issue. But look, people have had successful careers in their 40s. And look at Jericho, he's still killing it in his late 40s. I think wrestling at the moment, a lot of the WWE guys, like Samoa Joe's 39, Nakamura's 38, Styles is 40, 41, Cena's 40. A lot of their top names are approaching or are in their 40s. Bobby Roode 40. It's not that big of a deal anymore. I think 40, I think once you hit around 43, 44, 45, that's when you start to kind of slow down a little bit more. But in your early 40s, I still think you can do it at a pretty good level. Probably not in your prime. I think your prime probably ends around 38, 37. So I think Lashley will be okay. I think he's got another good couple of years in him. He's in great shape, so he's ready for it. I'd love to see him get that push. I think, it was a good reaction. I just don't know how he's going to get that, what his reaction is going to be next week. But if they have him step up and go right to the top straight away, or do squash matches for a while and get him over and then go from there, I think it can be successful. The internet kind of blew up a little bit when Kurt Angle mentioned TNA. He took a bit of a shot at TNA. Look, at the end of the day, TNA doesn't exist anymore. It's Impact Wrestling now. They've changed the name. So WWE called it TNA because they know they can get away with it. Because, they call it TNA. People look up TNA and they'll find out, like, Impact Wrestling might be confused. Like, what the hell's TNA? It doesn't matter anymore. Like, them calling it TNA is kind of, one to get a bit of a pop from the smart fans, but it maybe create a bit of buzz on the internet. I don't know, but it's not really going to affect them. It's not really going to help TNA or Impact. It's not really going to do anything for anyone. It's just a joke. Authors of Pain made their debut as well, which was good. We kind of expected them to make their debut. I thought Sanity might be on Smackdown, but that obviously didn't happen. So Authors of Pain, they came in and they got rid of Paul Ellering, which a lot of people are disappointed about that. But look, at the end of the day, Ellering's in his 60s. He can't do a full-time schedule. He's not going to do a full-time schedule. So this was the best choice for him. He could have had him come in and do the weekly Raws, but I figured it was a bit of an all-or-nothing situation for them. And I don't even know if he wants to be on the road every week. Like, that's still a lot for him. So they decided, no, he won't do that. So they'll go on their own. Will they get another manager? Very doubtful. WWE doesn't really care for managers anymore. So it's kind of like, all right, got to let the action in the ring do all the talking for them. We then had Reigns. He appeared, talked about his loss. Then Joe came out, cut a great promo. Joe's brilliant, man. Like, Joe, we've missed him because he's just a real treat. He is a great promo cutter. I love watching Joe. He's really, really good. Very underrated in some aspects. I think we kind of forget how good he is at times. He's fantastic. We had Matt Hardy and Bray. They won. We talked about them earlier on. Owens and Zayn for the contract match. It was a draw. No winner. We don't know what the situation with them is. Maybe the Superstar Shake Up will find something out there. And then the main event, which was basically a house show main event. The six-man tag felt like a house show main event with a bit of a good, a good feel match to end the show. Nothing big happened at the end. No real surprise. Just a feel-good match at the end. And what was a really good Raw. Probably the best Raw in quite some time. Really good Raw. And they talk about doing a little WWE 24 on, the Raw 25. Well, this was a much better show than that. So they should be doing a 24 on this show. For SmackDown, well, the big one was obviously Paige, SmackDown GM. We had the Usos become number one contenders. We had Naomi beat Natalya. So it started off pretty weak, didn't it? Like the first maybe hour of SmackDown was a bit weak. Picked up then because we had Charlotte come out, but then the iconic duo Peyton Royce, Billie Kay beat her up. Love the iconic duo. Obviously, them being Australian, I'm being Australian. I'm always going to really enjoy watching the Aussies out there. They have a lot of potential to be that bitchy duo, that heel, just to really elevate. Like, the problem is for Smackdown is that they've got, the Riot Squad, kind of really as that group. So we might see some movements been happening. We might see some changes to try and even things out. But I really believe the Iconic Duo could be a factor. And it might take them a while to get themselves in that title hunt, but I think they'll get there eventually. Then we had Carmella cash in, and she cashed in and won the women's title. I really had it in my head for the longest time that she was always going to lose. I did not really believe at all that she was going to win that belt, but she did. She got it. A lot of people upset because Charlotte beat Asuka streak only to lose the belt the next night. I don't have a problem with that because that's the beauty of Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank, the concept is you get a title shot whenever. If Carmella doesn't cash in then, when Charlotte couldn't even get to her own feet, she had to be dragged into the ring. If she doesn't cash in then, she looks like an idiot. The only thing I hated was the referee took forever to cash in the title. I don't know why it took him so long, and it kind of took away from it a little bit. He took forever. So, other than that, everything else is good. Not the crowd reaction they probably were hoping for. I just feel like too many teased cash-ins and too recent. If Carmella had stayed silent for a little bit, it might have been more of a surprise factor. But it was good. It was good. Charlotte losing is fine. She'll probably get it back pretty soon. If not, Asuka will. Someone will win it. But Carmella, I don't think she'll have it for long. She might be more of a transitional champion. She might have the belt for a month. Who knows? But I think it's an interesting call, and we'll see how it goes. Give her a bit of a chance. I don't think it'll last long, but at least she's got it, and she looked good doing it. Randy's the number one contender again. Unfortunately, it's happening. And Carmella, she did cut a good promo afterwards. She had a backstage promo, and she's improved in all aspects of her game. I think it was really good seeing her there, and I think she's going to do well. Her promo, as I said, much better. Main event was Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, which surprising that they gave away this match on TV, but it was a good way to close out the WrestleMania weekend. Nakamura got himself involved, which I think we kind of expected, and obviously that keeps advancing him as a heel. Well, that's SmackDown. So I thought SmackDown was a little bit weaker than Raw. I thought SmackDown didn't quite deliver, but look, it was at the end of the weekend. It's kind of more of like, alright, the WrestleMania festivities are kind of over now. Let's get back to more usual business. And that felt more like it with SmackDown. It did have a debut, and it did have a cash-in, so it was still a pretty solid show. At the end of the day, you can't really complain too much. But yeah, so that's the WrestleMania weekend. The Hall of Fame, as I said, I touched on a little bit earlier on. It was pretty, it was okay. I did enjoy it. A lot of people hated, Hillbilly Jim's speech. I liked it. A lot of people thought it was long. Mark Henry's speech was good. Goldberg's was okay. I just thought it was decent. Nothing special. Andre the Giant, his documentary, haven't seen it, go out of your way, find it, watch it. It's on HBO. Really good. If you're like me and you don't know a hell of a lot about Andre in the 80s of wrestling, because I was born in the 90s and, started watching wrestling in 2000s. So if you don't know a hell of a lot about the 80s and how it all works, or in the 70s as well, this is a great documentary just to open up your eyes a little bit and just kind of get a bit of an idea of how iconic Andre was. So that's something that I really appreciated, and I really enjoyed watching that. I watched that earlier today, so definitely worth checking out, definitely worth watching. I think you'll get a kick out of it, especially if you're a wrestling fan. You'll appreciate it. Next week is the Brand Shake Up. I guess we can talk a little bit about what I kind of expect, or maybe who I believe should go where. I don't have a list. I haven't written down a list or anything like that. I'm just going to throw a few names out there that I feel like could use a change. I think Finn Balor is my top priority right now. He needs to move, probably to SmackDown. It's either Finn or Rollins. I don't know if both will go. I feel like I want to see The Miz and Daniel Bryan on the same show. It's quite possible Bryan will go to Raw. I feel like he probably will. I feel like he'll probably go to Raw. It might be the reason why they did Bryan and Styles on this SmackDown show, is because Bryan probably will head to Raw. It would make little to no sense to have a former GM, now in-ring wrestler, stay on SmackDown. But just because you think about it, he's had all this power, now he's got no power, and he has to kind of, abide by Shane again, and all these other wrestlers on his same equal level. It'd be a little bit odd. So I'd probably send Bryan to Raw. So it might, you might want to see maybe Strowman could go to SmackDown. Maybe they might go that direction, have Braun Strowman go there, and that'd be a big change. But if you're going to do Bryan to Raw, you'd have to do a big change like that. The only problem is having Bryan and Reigns on the same show. I feel like that's a bit of a mistake, because I think Reigns will always get overshadowed by Bryan. But to be honest, if they're ever going to turn Reigns heel, I don't think it's going to happen. If they're ever going to turn him heel, Daniel Bryan's the perfect guy to turn heel on, because people already hate Reigns. People already hate him, so if they have him turn heel, it'll work. It'll work well. Tag teams, I thought the Usos might switch over, but it looks like they're number one contenders now, so it might be the New Day heading back to Raw. Potentially even the New Day getting split. I mean, are we now at the point where the New Day is kind of done? I don't know. I mean, they've been a great stable. They've been a great team. I really enjoyed them, and I like seeing teams stay together for a long time. But I think we're all at that point. We're like, all right, I wouldn't mind seeing Big E on his own. Let's see how he goes. And Kofi Kingston on his own again was fun. Let's see that again. I don't know how Xavier would go on his own. I feel like he might struggle, but yeah, I just feel like, okay, it may happen. It may happen. I don't know, but I probably wouldn't. It depends how their merch is going. If they're still selling merch, they're still doing well, there's no point splitting them up. I just feel like either switch them over to Raw or maybe do the split. For the women, I'd like to see Becky go to Raw. Maybe, I was going to say Sasha or Bayley, but I feel like they're kind of stuck in this feud right now that they might not be able to do that. Or maybe they have one go switch over and they do the match at Backlash anyways to kind of finish off that feud. I could see Natalya moving over as well. I could see her jumping over, and they might move a couple over. So maybe, well, the problem is, maybe they do Sasha and Bayley. They both move. I don't know. I could see something like that. But other guys, I'm just trying to think at the top of my head, to be honest with you. They could probably move a lot of lower guys. Maybe Slater and Rhino move back over. Maybe Baron Corbin moves over. Mojo might move. R-Truth could go. Goldust could go. The Revival could move. A lot of these low-end teams or low-end guys, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of movement there. But for the top guys, I don't know how much movement there will be and who's going to go. But I just feel like, Finn Balor needs a bit of a change. Seth Rollins, maybe not. I just feel like Rollins could have some great matches with Styles and Nakamura and those guys. I just feel like that would really suit him over there. Braun Strowman, I feel like he's a better fit on Raw, to be honest with you. But if they really want to do a bit of a big change, he might head over. Hard to really say. It's hard to really say. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing Randy back on Raw. But I don't. What I'm saying is, I feel like Raw's going to get a lot and probably not lose a lot again. But if I'm WWE, I'm trying to really even things up, because Raw won greatly last time. SmackDown's quality's really drastically dropped, so it might be time to even things up a little bit more. Have Raw lose a bit more and SmackDown gain a bit more this time, just to even things up again. But we'll have to see. Next week, I'll talk about it. I'm going to do one more podcast next week, and that will probably be it for me in terms of the podcast. As always, I really want to thank you all for coming along and listening to this week's show. We only went an hour. I thought it was going to go an hour and a half. So we kind of raced through all the WrestleMania chat a little bit quicker than usual. But great weekend of wrestling. Loved it. Looking forward to seeing next week at the Shake Up. Let's hope it's better. Let's hope that they actually do the show a little bit better. Last year they just kind of had people show up. I didn't like that. I would have liked to have the GMs come out there and pick their rosters. I know it's not an actual draft, but that's just kind of the way I like to see it done. But let's hope that SmackDown recovers a bit next week, and we'll go from there. I mean, I think the story is that the people that you saw debut, don't expect them to stay on that brand. Don't expect the All Japan, for example, to stay on Raw. Lashley could move over. A lot of these names could change brands still. Just because they debuted on Raw or SmackDown doesn't mean they're going to stay there. I think that's one of the taking points away from this. Also, expect some people to debut next week. All the debuts haven't happened yet. Expect a couple names to show up next week in this shake-up. Drew McIntyre potentially, Sanity potentially, probably Andrade, yeah, it might be the only other name. So expect some of those names to perhaps show up next week, and that will kind of close out the newcomers. Also, expect some people in the next month or two to perhaps get released. I think it's a real possibility that we might see a couple names gone, and to make room for these newcomers to come in. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. So expect some names to probably get released. If I had to throw a few out there, probably the Clones, maybe Dana Brooke, maybe Kurt Hawkins, but we'll have to see. Some of the low-end guys they're not doing a hell of a lot with might be moved on. Maybe Rusev, unfortunately. Well, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll leave it at that, and I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of the podcast. If you did, leave a like on it on the YouTube video. Let me know your thoughts on WrestleMania. Did you enjoy the show? Did you enjoy the weekend? What was your highlight of the weekend? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, as always, if you have a question for next week's show, leave it in the comments down below. I didn't answer any questions this week because I knew I'd have enough to chat about, and I'd probably answer most of your questions just naturally anyway. So next week for the final edition, we'll have a lot of questions, we'll have a lot of chat for the big shake-up. Hope to see you all there next week. Hope you all tune in, and I hope you all enjoyed this week's podcast. And I'll see you all for the final episode, the final edition of the podcast next week.